So the question is, and it's a complaint that many of the people at your event were voicing about the bailout, which was all these bailout dollars got sent to the banks in the private sector with the idea that it might have a positive impact on mortgages in the housing market and free up credit so that people could borrow and jobs would then start flowing, and it didn't really happen. So the question is, we make the cuts in government, we save all that money flips to the private sector.
But here's the problem.
Is it going to hit the sweet spot?
But here's the problem in terms of, I sympathize with the sentiment that these occupiers have in Wall Street. They're upset and they sense intuitively that something is wrong, that somebody's benefiting from the system. And they're right. These big banks, these big large corporations on Wall Street are benefiting from interventionist policies in Washington. They have buddies in DC, they have buddies in legislators, and so they engage in risky behavior and then they look for Washington DC to bail them out. So I mean, that's completely wrong. But here's my issue with the occupiers. Instead of addressing the problem, which is having government step in and bailing out private sector, they want additional government involvement in our lives. They want additional government intervention. So what they're arguing for is more of the thing that got us in this mess. You need to get government out of things that properly belongs in the marketplace. If these guys in Wall Street want to take risks, if they want to gamble, that's great. They bear the consequences. File Chapter 7 when it doesn't work out for you. Don't go to Washington, D.C. and look for billions of our tax dollars to bail you out. It's all part of the same problem. Who do you trust? Who drives the economy? Is it government or is it the people? And if it's the people, as I contend, what government ought to do is create conditions for capital to flourish. What's wrong with somebody having an idea, taking their money, investing it, hiring people, selling their product, paying wages, and quality of life rising? That's the model upon which this country has succeeded. That's called free market and capitalism. Those two phrases, free market and capitalism, have become almost epithets in the last few years. I mean, when did we start, treating capitalism as if it were a four-letter word? Now, if you're talking about capitalism in terms of banks having access to lawmakers and getting bailouts, that's not capitalism. That's the antithesis of capitalism. That's cronyism. So I agree and sympathize with their anger, but the prescription that the occupiers have, which is even more government involvement, is going to go ahead and put us in worse shape. Look at North Korea and South Korea. If you want the difference between a planned economy with a strong central government and a free market economy, look at the quality of life that North Korea has opposed to South Korea.